Hi, and welcome back to Penguin's View. Okay, so this one's going to be a bit longer. No, stop yawning. Stop it now. Don't be doing it. No. And hopefully with it, I'm going to give you some pointers as to picking the correct video editor for you, which just happens to be the one that I'm using. Okay, so I used to use OpenShot Video Editor, both 3 years ago when I had my old channel and when I started doing this channel. The issue is that both times I had the same problem, which was after a while the pictures and vocals didn't match up. Now, both times I contacted the support team, and both times they did absolutely nothing. The first time round I managed to fix it by myself. Didn't work this time round, couldn't find another fix, so that didn't happen. So I looked at potential for 3 editors. And what they needed to be was free, have no watermarks on them, and be relatively easy to use, because I'm an old fart and need it to be easy. Okay, so I looked up 3, and the 3 that it come up with was suggested was CapCut, VSDC, and DaVinci Resolve. It was said that CapCut was the easiest to learn, and yeah, I found it quite similar to OpenShot. But once I'd finished the video and I went to export it, only to find out that on the PC version, because there is an Android version as well, not sure about iOS because I don't use it. Yeah, so when I went to export it, you only get one with no watermark. Otherwise, you have to have a watermark somewhere. This is not without watermark, even though it's advised by many people on YouTube as being without watermark. It's been an older version or something, because mine certainly had them. To get rid of the watermark, you can pay a monthly subscription. No, thank you. And frankly, it was quite expensive. And apart from getting rid of the watermark, to be honest with you, it wasn't a lot of stuff in there that I would be using. So, not very good. Okay, so I then went on to VSDC. Now, a little harder to use, yes, but not terrible. Not terrible at all. And it wasn't, I'd learnt it fairly quickly. 100% no watermarks, which is definitely an important thing. But for me, there was 2 major downsides. Firstly, I found the titles and text not to be very good, i.e. there wasn't a lot of choice, and frankly they weren't necessarily the easiest to do either. But the actual deal breaker for me was when you export it, unless you go for the paid version, the maximum quality you could get was 720p. This for me, absolutely no good whatsoever. Sorry, but it just doesn't work for me. So finally, I went to DaVinci Resolve. Now, the thing is, a lot of people will tell you that DaVinci Resolve is the harder one to learn, which is why I didn't start with that one. I have had a look at it in past and thought, I'm never going to get this. But surprisingly enough, it's actually not that hard. So, let's have a look at what I had to do. First thing I had to do was cut out lumps like at the start and the beginning, and when I sort of scratch my nose and you get the point. So basically what I did was I went to YouTube, but just looked for the tutorial for the trimming and cutting out of lumps. I watched a 3-minute video. 3 minutes, that's all. And afterwards, I found I could do the same. Once I'd watched how people do it, I found it pretty easy. So, fantastic. So, when it came to it next, the next thing I needed to do was add photos and videos that I show up there. So I did the same again. No, I didn't watch the one with the trimming divots. I watched the one about adding photos and videos. Now, this again was less than 5 minutes. And then I tried it for myself and I found it pretty darn easy. Okay, a little harder than some of the others, but it's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. And I found that I could do that quite easily. So at that point, having watched 8 minutes of video, and only had to watch them once, and then I could get what I was actually doing. I could then trim the lumps out and add the videos. So then the next one was quite the important one for me, and that was to add text and titles. Now, text and titles I don't necessarily use very often, but when I want to, I want to. You get the point, okay? So this was the hardest part, and I thought, well, okay, it's important, so I'll watch another video. This time, a massive 7 minutes. And by the end of that, I could do basic titles and do some moving them around and changing the font and the colour and putting like a 3D background on them and stuff like that. And I didn't find it hard at all. I actually found it quite easy. I've got to be honest and say that I can't do a massive amount with it yet. Because there is just, when it comes to titles and stuff like that, there is just an absolute bucketful you can do on that. And I will get there at some point, but at the moment, what I can do, I'm happy with. So, let's have a little sum up, shall we? And the sum up is DaVinci Resolve, yes, is a steeper learning curve. But if you use the tutorials on YouTube from actual users rather than the company, I find that much the easier way. They're easy to follow. And you can then sort of, if you do what I did, I followed them. I watched the videos on my phone and I was doing the editing on the computer at the same time, and I could then actually physically relate to what was being done. And I found that really pretty helpful. So, yeah, steeper learning curve, but once you get there and once you've got the basics, it's much better. Now, okay, like the other two, there is a paid version. But frankly, I didn't actually see the need for the paid version. It's got stuff in there that I'm never going to use. And the outlay, okay, it's not a monthly or yearly subscription. It's a one-off payment, but it is quite a large payment for it. But that's okay for some people that want to do more. That's fine. But for me, it's not what I needed to do. Fair enough. Downside. Okay, there's always a downside. When you export the videos from the editing to the computer, it takes a good while. You know, plenty of time to go and make a cup of coffee, that sort of thing. But it gives you a countdown timer of approximately how long you've got left, and that's fine. That works, no problem for me. All in all, as a 60-year-old old fart, it's fine. I highly recommend DaVinci Resolve. The free version, not the paid version. With the basics, you can do a YouTube channel with not any problem whatsoever. You've got to learn a bit, so don't pick up DaVinci Resolve and hope to put videos on YouTube tomorrow. You're probably going to need a week or so to learn the basics enough to be able to grant you good enough videos. Anyway, hopefully you found all this informative and helpful. I'd like to think so. And until the next one, TTFN.